All right, y'all. Welcome to another week of productivity. Anissa, what's going
Hi.
on? Are you wearing
Uh,
pants?
yes.
I'm wearing shorts. It's short season. Blake, are you in shorts yet? Got to
No.
show off them white
Well,
legs.
I actually wear
Nope.
shorts, but yeah,
Well, how was your open house? Did you have open house yesterday?
I did,
How'd it
and I
go?
wanted I wanted to talk to Blake about it because I've done two open houses over there, and I did not have a single person showing up.
It's
So
the location.
How
I
was the wet?
know,
How many
but
signs
I
did you put out?
for open house
Yeah.
four.
All
That's
right.
the only, that's
But
four
it's
signs
it's
I
in the
have.
it's in like where is it? Hamilton?
It's Winfield. It's an
Winfield.
hour from Birmingham towards
Yeah, it's just not
Mississippi.
rural area.
Well, I mean, I still
Mm.
need to figure out how to sell it. I was hoping you can, give me some tips how to sell the rural area.
You just have to get in front of the most amount of people. Unfortunately, sometimes I think, and I don't. Jason can comment a little better on this, but some areas just aren't built for that. But like you would have to. My initial thought would be Facebook video, your social media aspect of it. Unfortunately, with Winfield, I just don't think the population's there. No one's, I mean, I keep on calling it Hamilton, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's telling of what Winfield's about.
I mean, Hamilton
Well,
is not that much bigger,
No,
so.
no, I know, I know.
so I have a listing marketing checklist that I can send you, but when I take a new listing, no matter where it is, I mean the
Yeah.
approach is the same no matter
Okay.
where it is, unless we're talking about open house. I mean, if you're doing an open house in a rural area, four signs ain't gonna get you jack. You need like 25 or 30 signs.
Well, four signs, one of them broken is the only what I have. I don't have
Yeah,
anything.
we'll
That's
get
that's
you
all
some
what I
more on
have.
it.
I
You
have
need
one for sale sign and I have four open house signs. So I don't have anything else.
so you need to get some more. Like you could go to Home
We'll
Depot or
get you
Lowe's
some
if you
more on it, but I just question is it the amount of signs it's going to take to draw someone from in town to out of town, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's like 25 or 30 signs. I mean, so you got to think about like putting those signs out, doing all that stuff. Now, outside, well, in addition to that, it typically needs to be a themed open house. You'd want to have something to draw people there. And then,
Ice cream truck, coffee truck.
well, what may be more,
Aqua truck.
we've talked about this on prior calls. I don't know if you were on it, Anissa, but just doing a broker's open house. So you would
Yeah.
call around a bunch of the agents and you would have just start Googling and looking at the production and finding the agents that are doing the most business in Winfield and say, hey, I'm doing this. You know, you want some free food, you want a giveaway. What would it take to get you to come to a broker's open house this Tuesday or Thursday at whatever o'clock? So that would be a really good idea is networking to agents that are in Winfield to come see this and give them some sort of an incentive to show up. You know, outside of that, it's YouTube, it's blogging, it's reels, it's stories, it's graphics. You know, you can do a seller interview video where the seller comes up with the top 5 or 10 reasons why somebody would want to buy that house. So they can talk about why they bought it, what it's like living there. But it's all basically, you know, it needs to be content driven. So you're marketing to the agents in Winfield and you're marketing to like the world on social media, YouTube, Google, Yahoo, Bing, all the things. But Blake, I don't know if you can, do you have, I have that listing marketing checklist. I think I can just make a note. I'll just send it to Anissa after
I'll
the call
find
and
it. Yeah.
just follow that.
It's going to be a hard sale. I mean, yeah, but she knew that getting into it. It
Well,
was, I mean,
so I would like, there's got to be a Winfield buy sell trade group or something for that
Oh,
county.
I'm already there. I'm posting it and I'm cross posting in all the groups
And,
surrounding the area.
and you
So,
got your Facebook marketplace ad up.
yep.
All right. So that, you know, beyond that, it may be price. You know, it may
right.
be overpriced. You know, it just is what it is. What I would do is just if you're feeling some heat from your seller, is just look at the days on market in Winfield. Get some data information. Go listen. Average days on market over here is like 180 days or whatever it is. You know, we need to slow our roll. We're possible if we're not getting any showings or anybody showing up to open houses, we're possibly overpriced. I
And
would
it
check your
wasn't
price.
my marketing plan that I sent them that, if we're not going to get anyone getting into the house, we will be doing a price drop. So,
Did
Yeah.
they agree to it? Anissa,
Yep.
was he like, yeah,
Yeah, they are.
yeah.
Yep. So that's really all right. It sounds like you're doing all you can do. I mean, besides YouTube.
I didn't know if there's any like any way to kind of like boost the listing so I can maybe to put it in front of like west of Birmingham and east of the Mississippi, because it's like an hour of like, Birmingham, an hour from Tulip to Pillow, and it's a large home for, like much less that you can pay like in the Birmingham area for the same house. I mean, it's really nice home with pool and stuff. It just that it's like an hour away from everything.
So I'll look and see. Real Geeks does have something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, for instance, I'm going through a similar situation with a very boring house in Pinson. Pinson historically doesn't have great schools, etc. Okay. Very basic house. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and throw like $60 at it and let Facebook kind of advertise it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm not trying to deter anybody. I'm just saying, I don't even think anybody's clicked on it. Right.
Sorry.
So I just use that as an example to go back to my guy after I did 2 open houses at it. And I'm like, look, brother, I would love to get you max value here, but really what you're paying me for is to negotiate and market.
Yeah.
So I've marketed the house and it's not getting any showings. But I think, we really need to explore the idea of a price improvement.
Yeah.
We need to explore the idea of a price improvement because really we got to get people in the door so we can negotiate the offer. But you're 18 days on market. I'm going to look around.
Let's reel this in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Being an hour, I mean, first thing you got to understand is if the house has does the house have privacy or acreage?
It's on a little bit over an acre and it's in a cul-de-sac. It surely has the privacy because there's just land around it.
So, I mean, being an hour away from stuff doesn't bother a lot of people. We just need to think about who is like, why do they buy this house?
Because he's got a job offer to take over
No,
over the practice, the doctor practice, and then it just didn't
why did they
work
buy
out
the house? Why did they move to Winfield?
because he had a job offer in Winfield.
Oh, so he took the job in
Yeah. And it
Winfield.
just didn't work out with the practice. He's a physician, so
So I just think, couple things. We shouldn't be surprised. We shouldn't be discouraged. We kind of need to just maintain our mind, do a little mindset maintenance. We shouldn't be discouraged when, we try to do an open house in the middle of nowhere. Nobody shows up. We put out 4 signs.
yeah.
I mean, you got to put out a shitload of signs. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. And I would be marketing the open house, all the way up through like start today and market it through the day of the open house. If you do that, you're getting benefits for being a proactive, full-time, productive. I think would be advanced. Your marketing is where, up far and above most agents in terms of how you market the content you publish. So, and it's how old's the listing? How long has it been on the market?
Well, it was with another agent for 6 months, and then they basically, they let that expire. So
Give it to you at a new price?
yeah, we put it at 420. I mean, the last price they had at 430. I mean, they came out was 450, and I told them right away. I mean, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Did all the comps and stuff, and I mean, they will be happy to get 400 for it, but we started with 420, so we have a little bit of wiggle room. So
Yeah, so that's all price. It's all price. The sooner and closer you get to 400, the better you're going to be. And then you've done 2 open houses, so you can tell them, like, listen, I've tried it. It just really doesn't work in your area. You're too rural. So, we don't have to worry about going out and investing in, hundreds of dollars in 30 open house signs. And listen, it'll take you 2 hours to put those out. So,
takes over 2 hours to get there.
I mean,
an hour to drive.
You're going to be a sweaty, hot mess. So, I mean, they listed with you. They know you're in Madison, just it is what it is. So just, just let them know, like, hey, I would also lead with the days on market. Like,
yeah. And I would, so I just kind of did an aerial search under RPR while we were talking to Niece, and you can use this. The last house that was close to them sold at a good price. Very nice house, a little bit bigger, looks like than yours. 601 Arrowhead, I guess.
Yeah.
It took them 90 some days before they got a pending offer.
And they sold it for like $81 square foot, I think.
Yeah. They were at $599. They ended up closing at 30. They almost dropped $40,000.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and if you're telling them 4, you just need to implement like, hey guys, so I've done everything I can. So, with my listing, usually what I do is the 30 days or the first 10 showings without an offer, we do a price reduction.
Yeah, and like I said, before I took the listing, I made a marketing plan for them, what I think will need to be done. So that was one of the things that I said, if we don't get anyone in the house, we will have to do the price drop, and they're
Yeah.
fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
At
think
this
you
point, they just want to sell because they have another house here in Madison, so you just pay a mortgage on that one, and they're just trying to recoup their money
well,
and
just
stop
keep
paying
this in mind,
mortgage.
Anissa. This is tried and true. Okay.
Mhm.
No matter what happens in our industry, these are going to be two staples of getting a home sold, a listing sold. It's price and condition. So the
Yeah.
condition is pristine. It's got to be the price.
Yeah.
All right. So, if it's priced right, but the price needs to match the condition. So if it's priced right or the price matches or meets the condition, it will move. So that's just it. I look at this listing marketing checklist that I have and deploying listing marketing, and I also have this new approach. Why you list with me is because I'm an immersive marketer. Why you list with me is because I'm an immersive marketer, which means I don't just put the sign on the ground and do a bunch of heavy marketing the first week and then just, go radio silent.
Yeah.
So I'm continually marketing the property every single week. That might be a 5 or 10 second video clip. I get my sellers to send me pictures. I had a seller send me some sunset pictures for my acreage listing last week. So I'm like, if you see anything that's like beautiful, there's a deer in the yard, take a damn picture and send it to me, and I'll use that for marketing. But my whole goal is to generate more business. The more business I can generate, the more I can leverage a listing to attract attention from buyers, attract their contact information. That's all in everybody's best interest. That serves the seller and it serves me. So there is a win-win proposition here between providing exposure to your seller and growing your business. It's all correlated and interconnected. So, in terms of like the mindset of marketing, it's like I've got a listing. A listing is one of the greatest building blocks that we have to build that pipeline, to fill that pipeline, to keep the pipeline filled. So just think of it as like, man, this is every time I market this listing, it's putting me one step closer to a conversation with a new prospect. So it is what it is. You've tried the open house, you've done your duty there, but there's lots of things you can do
And you
digitally
showed
to
them
help you.
you will, which I
Yeah.
think is just as important. It's not like you're just sitting on your butt. You're showing up there. Right.
6 hours, two
Yeah.
hours there, 2 hours there, and 2 hours back. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing everything, you can do. I understand, when you put in that much time and nobody shows up, it's frustrating, but it's just like, hey, you're just checking off a box. You're providing stellar service. It could come back to you in the form of a great review or testimonial after this thing closes. Like, man, she drove hours. She spent so much time helping us get this thing sold. Blake,
And then
what you got?
you go on the offensive too, Anissa. Not to, I don't know if you want to put this out there, but I'm saying like you go on the offense. The defenses is you're doing the open houses. You're showing them, hey, I'm not just another realtor. I'll do the open house. I'll put out the signs. I'll put it behind Facebook. Now you go on the offensive. Good. Now I need y'all to meet me here. Because when I look up just some market trends in Winfield, the median active price in Winfield right now is 219. The sold listings in Winfield for April were 105.
I know
So
I'm looking on the same numbers that you are.
yeah. So like you just have to let them know that stuff. Like they can't go off one. Like
Yeah.
the median days of in the MLS were 68. So hypothetically speaking, you're over double of that. So 68 times 2, that's putting about 4 months right there, And it's the quicker they get to that number, your number, Anissa's number, the professional's number,
Mm-hmm.
that shortens up your time.
Yeah.
Right. So you can always use that. I don't want to use the term pain points because I think it's a yucky word, but there's a reason that all these people use that word. So he's putting the pressure. I'm not saying he is, but hypothetically, he's saying to you, "Oh, Anissa, I got to sell this house. I got to sell it. I got 2 mortgages. Look, man, I'd love to sell it for you, but we need to push towards that 400,000 because every day he's on market, day 18, 19, 20, 21, that 400, like it may not be 400 no more.
Yeah.
Well,
You
And
and
know,
I mean, I know that, but I think that the agent that listed it before, they just heard it by listing it for 50 because it was never worth it.
just understand you're doing about all you can do. If you don't have it on YouTube, then there is an area of your business where you can add another tool to your toolbox. But being honest and upfront with the seller, let them know the data. And the last thing I would mention about this, and then we need to move on, is that at a 400 price point, that's opening it up to a whole huge other category of buyers that are looking at 400 or less.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
and if you tell the seller, like, hey, like lowering the price, I always am just very upfront and open about this. It's like our best marketing tool is the price, is price reductions. And, if we accidentally price it too low, that's going to create a feeding frenzy in the market.
Yeah.
So some good talking points there. All right.
Yeah.
I want to move on to FSBOs and just make sure everybody knows that I listed a FSBO last week. So there's that. I mean, FSBOs will list. It is a great idea to work them because it does pay off. All right. The second thing I want to mention is that I've got an appointment to market a FSBO this afternoon. So this FSBO thing is a part of my weekly routine where I'm looking for sale by owners. I saw a for sale by owner come up in our community of Ross Bridge. I'm going to reach out to that FSBO and say, hey, can I feature your house on my YouTube channel? So just food for thought. There's YouTube coming up again. Such an incredible resource. And I tell you, YouTube has been something that I've been using in the real estate business since 2008. That's when I started my YouTube channel. And there's been a lot of real estate agents that have been doing a lot of business from YouTube. It seems like here of late, it's become a really big, I think, offering for coaching platforms, for real estate marketing and training platforms. Because I'm just seeing this in my news feed all the time. Like if I wanted to build a profitable YouTube channel in the next 90 days, I would do this, or join my course to learn how to do this with YouTube over the next 90 days. So there's something going on there. It's like more and more agents are starting to really make money off of it. More and more buyers are starting to go to YouTube. Not sure what the trends are, but you can just tell by what's happening, or I can at least tell what's happening in my newsfeed, that the YouTube conversation is getting louder and louder and louder. So just food for thought there. If you go to my board in my office, you'll see next to some leads that I'm working on my opportunity wall, you'll see that I've written YouTube next to them just to show that they've come from YouTube. These are active buyers I'm working for YouTube. They aren't the only ones. They're just the ones that are active. I've generated more, but for one reason or another, they just, didn't buy, couldn't buy, whatever the case may be. I have vetted them and they just didn't make the cut for one reason or another, or their search is on hold, or whatever they're looking for doesn't quite exist yet. Okay. So just wanted to mention that. Anybody have any updates in terms of what they're learning or what they're implementing that is providing some sort of benefit to their business? The last 2 weeks, we've been talking about really, I think, on a relationship focus and getting out there and volunteering and becoming an abundant member of your community where it is that you want to establish a reputation and become well known, one of the most well known real estate agents in that market. So, I was talking to Blake about this last week. I think I asked Blake, I was like, Blake, do you think Alex has signed up to volunteer for any organizations? And he didn't know. So, Alex, we don't need to get in a big discussion about this. I'm just saying, like, if you haven't, you need to ask yourself, like, why? Like, you need to come up with that reason. Like, what's holding you back? What we need to do here is just kind of understand what the fundamentals of real estate are. And
I'll take a stab at it for
yeah,
them.
let's go.
Probably not going to be honest enough, and I always try to advocate in their regard, right? And I think it's when they look at the broad spectrum of success in our industry, right? Whoever they're, for me it was somebody, for you it was somebody. write down a list of who they consider successful in real estate, right? I think they look across and go, damn, why do I have to do it when they're not doing it? Right? Because that was the way I looked at social media,
I don't
right?
understand what you're saying.
Like getting involved and stuff. Like,
Why
you
do
look,
I have to do it when they're not doing it?
I
What
guess
do you
maybe
mean?
metaphorically, like if they're not doing it, why would I do it? The person that they're looking at. That's, I think, sometimes the holdback point, right?
Well,
If they
and
don't see,
so here's the point. I asked Alex to go to Rodrigo and go, hey, to go to him and go, what are you doing? What did you
yeah,
do? What was your
right.
first 2 weeks, your first 2 months like? Where's your stuff coming from? And the answer could have been, well, because I was in a flooring business for so many years and I met so many homeowners and I built this database. So when I got my real estate license, I just started telling everybody that had done business with me in the flooring business they got my real estate license, and bam, it took off. There's some reason for why this is happening. And, you know, if Rodrigo is Alex's team leader, maybe they need to work on their communication. But we can't have unrealistic expectations for what the real estate business is going to provide for us if we are not first giving it what it wants. All right. Now, the other thing we learned about from Jay, yeah, Jay, I think Jay was talking about top 25. So kind of wanted to check the temperature on that. After that call, a good like personal homework assignment would be to get out a piece of paper and start writing down your top 25 people. Like, who are the people that like you're like this with, your besties, like people that support you the most, your raving fans, like 25 people that literally proactively, when you're not in the room, talk about you and try to help you, become more successful, to help get your name out there. Who are those 25 people? And the other thing is, if you don't have 25, it's however many you have. Okay. So I am starting a real estate newsletter this week for the lake. I've got about 30 people in there. The database for it to pay dividends in terms of this effort, that email list of 30 needs to get to be about 300 before it starts to pay dividends. But I've got to start somewhere and I got to put the time in. And when I launch the first newsletter, I'm going to reach out to other people and go, hey, do you find this valuable? Can you tell somebody about it? I want to grow this thing. It's once a month. I'm reaching out to business owners and saying, hey, you can advertise in this thing for free. Just help me grow it. All right. The next thing I want to mention is I just set an appointment for a week from tomorrow, the Tuesday after Memorial Weekend, to interview the creators of Rock the South, Rock the Country, Auburn Rodeo. These are some big, big music festivals that happen, annual music festivals that happen. Rock the Country happens like all over the Southeast, from Texas over this way. Just reached out to him and said, hey, you guys are like crushing it. You're like serial entrepreneurs. I'd love to interview you for my YouTube channel. And I would love for you to help me connect with people. I want to grow my business at the lake by helping other small business owners and helping vacation rental owners and for sale by owners, and just giving of my time and expertise just to help people. That's how I want to elevate their brands, and by doing that, hopefully my brand will be elevated and I'll grow my business. People love that humility. They will make time to sit down with you for free advertising, especially if you know what you're doing, right? You have a YouTube channel, you show up with lapel mics, you ask great questions, you give them the questions ahead of time, you're working at a concept ahead of time. So that's going to be my next concept. What I'm doing is trying to become a like a case study for you guys to follow of success and show you what I'm doing, and hopefully you'll follow. So right now nobody's following, and that's okay because my business is growing. It's working for me. All right. It's working for me. And as I can, I'm just implementing these new things. All right. So my next thing is I'm going to have a segment of my YouTube channel for Smith Lake that's called Smith Lakers. And it's just a local little show that I'm going to do with people, a little spotlight show I'm going to do for people that have an interesting story to tell, or have a business they want to promote, or just doing good things for people around the lake. Any questions about that? So I'm just built like this afternoon. Just to reiterate, this afternoon going to shoot a FSBO's house. This is not on the lake, but it's on a creek around the lake, and I think it's priced around 300,000. And I'm really excited to go out there because it just looks amazing. And it's an Airbnb, and he's got a strong rental history. So this is going to be just an incredibly powerful pieces of marketing content that I can deploy. But I'm building a new relationship. So let me just tell you how I set this thing up, and then hopefully we can have some questions, right? So as I've mentioned many times, I just go Zillow. I enter the city in Google. Let me back this up. I go to Google, I enter Hoover, and then I put the words in all caps, FSBO search. Then it's going to pull up the Zillow link. I click on the Zillow link, and I look around there and say, is there anything here that I'd want to market that I would find interesting? And if there is, I look for the seller's number, which is on the Zillow listing, and I text him. And I go, hey, just came across your listing on Zillow. It looks amazing. I would love to feature it on my YouTube channel. Would you be open to that? It doesn't cost you anything. There's nothing to sign. Here's an example of a prior video, or here's a link to my channel. Check out those videos and let me know, if you think your property would be a great fit. Lots of different ways to phrase that. And I fire it off. And if I don't get, like, typically I get a response, but if I don't get a response, maybe I'll wait a week and I'll hit them again the next week and go, hey, I'm following up on my request from last week. So I would just feel bad for y'all, if, in 6 months' time, I'm rolling in money like Demi Moore in A Decent Proposal on the mattress.
Oh, you ruined that movie for me.
And I'm just living my best life, and y'all are still sitting there on your hands and wondering about what direction you're going to go and what you're going to do, and if you're going to volunteer, if you're not going to volunteer, if you're going to start, prospecting FSBOs, if you're not, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, or if you're not.
So what happens if you don't have a YouTube channel and you don't have anything on it and you're using your philosophy on it? Still just ask them, or maybe not send the links, I suppose.
Great question, Blake Ray. Okay. So if I just have a YouTube channel, nothing is on it, what I would suggest that you do to get started is to just do YouTube Shorts. Okay? So just keep it simple, keep it easy, and let's just start with some shorts. Okay? Just start with some shorts. So let's use Blake Ray as a example as it relates to Ross Bridge. So I would go to Hometown Fair, La Paz, Front Porch, the dentist office, all the different things. I would start promoting. I would just do little short videos to promote these businesses. One thing you can do is, what I like to do is different than what KD does. So what KD does is he just pulls 3, 5, 10 things or out of his butt. Here's the 5 best bushwhackers in Orange Beach, Gulf Shores. He's just doing research online and picking that and just deciding, all right, these are my top 5. I like to reach out to the actual business owner and go, hey, I want to do some free marketing and promote your business. I'm a customer there. I love it. I want to help other customers find it, but I need your help. Like, I've only had these menu items. What are some other menu items that people just love? And so what I'm doing there, it's just a multifaceted approach. There's a potential to build a relationship with that business owner. The other thing I don't want to do is get it wrong. KD likes to get it wrong because it creates more engagement. But I don't want the business owner to go, man, I wish you would have reached out to me before you made that video. But I'd go to Hometown Fair and be like, hey, what are the top 5 sandwiches that people just absolutely love?
Great rib sandwich.
Yeah. So just do, shine a light on them, but it's community events. I mean, you could start going to every open house you can make it in the neighborhood and highlighting those videos with the agent's permission. Just be like, hey, you mind if I show up to the open house? You mind if I shoot some video real quick? There's video approaches, and I can start sharing these into the Blueprint Collab community. there are strategies for creating videos. For example, there's one video strategy where it's actually one clip. So you're outside the front door, you grab your phone, you walk through the front door, and you go room to room. All right. You got to keep the camera steady, and you've got to kind of rehearse this up front. You need to know which way you're going to go. So you need to like have been in the house before. But there's this content that's being put out there. I'm not sure what they call these videos. I can look it up. I sent it to my admin the other day. I was like, I need to make these because they're getting so many views online. But you can look at stories and reels and YouTube shorts that other real estate agents are doing and just go, man, here's one that got a ton of views. Could I do that? Could I make that? Could I recreate that? What we've talked about too prior here is what's today's date? So it's the 19th. We got 2 more weeks and this month is over. Towards the end of the month or shortly after the end of the month, we need to start preparing to put out our market data graphics. What sold the last month? How does that compare to the prior month? And start educating the public on Ross Bridge. I would be looking for homeowners in Ross Bridge that have an interesting story to tell. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in Ross Bridge. There's a lot of people that have a lot of interesting stories to tell that do cool things for professions or, survived stage 4 cancer, whatever it is. Find those people. Start reaching out to people that you know in the neighborhood and go, hey, do you know anybody in the neighborhood that's got a great story to tell? And start meeting people and just start doing things for people and start highlighting and shining a light on the subdivision. When I talk about YouTube channel and we talk about creating long form YouTube video content, like YouTube loves videos that are 7 minutes long, 10 minutes long, 20 minutes long, 15 minutes long. That can be like very overwhelming to the average agent who just really struggles with video to begin with. So when we talk about making a minute long video, they go, "Oh, okay. All right, I could do this." So think about Blake at the crawfish thing, the Hope for Autumn thing. You probably could have got your camera and done got a couple little clips and put together a video after that, post the event. So you could have put that on, your YouTube channel in the form of a short.
Mhm.
So that would be my advice to start with shorts. So what's hometown fair specials of the week? And you could tell them like, hey, if you're going to go in and order the special this week, tell them Blake Ray sent you. Tell them Blake Ray sent you. Hey, if you go in, you sign up as a new patient at Ross Bridge Dentistry, tell them Blake Ray sent you. If you sign up for a membership at the gym, tell them Blake Ray sent you. If you go have that new signature cocktail at Front Porch, tell them Blake Ray sent you. But you're all up in these businesses all the time getting content to include the hotel. All right, what's going on at the hotel? What events are going on the golf course? What's happening? Go interview the golf pro. I mean, and so every single week there is an endless supply of content to gather in the community by helping other agents in the community market their listings, the ones that are open to it, for sale by owners, local businesses, people that are business owners within the community, the market stats. We had the yard sale this weekend. I don't think the weather was great, but you could have gone around and talked to people at the yard sales, shopped, got some video. Here's the top 10 coolest things I found at the Ross Bridge community yard sale this weekend. So outside of that, so just hitting pause and going, all right, well, Blake Ray lives in Ross Bridge. There is the opportunity for agents to make all the money they want to make by focusing on a community like Ross Bridge to where they rarely have to leave. If they're leaving the community, they're selling somebody else a house in Black Ridge. They're leaving Ross Bridge, but they're staying local. So where is your Ross Bridge? That's what the other agents that are on the call now and will watch this replay should be asking themselves. What is your Ross Bridge? Where is your Ross Bridge? What is your North Star? What is your specialization? I will probably never forget, just working with this couple from Louisiana, and I've talked about this on a prior call, but just how many questions they asked me about the lake. But we're standing on a list. We're standing on an adjacent lot. So there's a lake house that's for sale, but the sellers are also own an adjacent lot and it's included with the sale. All right. And so the husband was thinking that the listing was overpriced. And I was like, well, it includes this lot. And they were like, well, how much would this lot be worth? And I had a general idea of what the lot would be worth. And so it helped justify the listing price of that actual listing. But that's what people expect you to know. You know, we talked about this a lot when we were selling at the beach. Like I'd be showing a condo at the beach, and people would look out the window at the condo next door and go, "Well, what's a two bedroom going for over there?" And if you don't know the answer to that question, you've lost trust and confidence right off the bat.
Mm.
Right off the bat. If I want to be a condo specialist, I need to know where the most expensive two bedroom Gulf front unit is, where the least expensive two bedroom Gulf front unit is. You know, Blake, you should know, have intimate knowledge. Listen, Blake and I talked about this last week, not for very long, but it bears repeating on this call right now. I'm not sure what's going on with Glenda Baker, but it seems like a lot of her content or some of her content is starting to be directed towards agents. Like she was all about entertaining the public, educating the public, and she had all these antidotes and all these stories from being in the business so long. But I'm starting to see a lot of her content come out that's like educating agents. Like, here's how you get comfortable on video. Here's how you develop a specialization in a specific marketplace. One of the things she said last week that I thought was hugely powerful is that she dedicates a massive amount of time previewing listings in her marketplace in Atlanta. She's got an area carved out. I don't know if it's Bucktown or what it is. You know, let's just say that Buckhead, for the sake of time, is her target market. She goes out there and previews these listings. It was really powerful for me, at least, to hear that from an agent, a veteran agent like Glenda Baker, that she gets out there and previews listings as a seasoned mega agent, probably one of the most well-known agents in the United States right now. That she's built this amazing brand. It's incredible. Somebody who was scared to death to do video, what she's actually become. It was really powerful for me to hear that. So if Glenda Baker is going out and previewing listings every week, then I'm going out and previewing listings every week. Or that just gives me more encouragement, more energy, more motivation to stay on the track that I'm on. So if let's just talk about, instead of things that you are doing or should be doing, let's talk about like what your actual job description is. Okay. Like, what should a real estate agent be doing? All right. Now, if Alex is on his computer in their sales room, if he's looking at the MLS, scouring the MLS, and just looking at every new listing and going through all the pictures and reading the remarks, the public remarks, the private remarks, he is accomplishing this goal to an extent of knowing your inventory. All right. But it is much better to get out there and go see these properties. But if I consider myself a Helena, an Alabaster, a Gardendale, a Hoover, a Ross Bridge, a Smith Lake specialist, I'm not meeting the standards and requirements of that definition or that title if I'm not going out and seeing the properties. So if you're not going out and previewing listings every single week that you're able, you know, you're not sick, you're not out of town, you don't have buyers in from out of town, don't have a schedule that's stacked with appointments, you need to be previewing properties. You need to have intimate knowledge of as many active listings in your target market as possible. If you're not doing that, then you don't need to be frustrated with the market. You need to be frustrated with yourself. You don't need to be frustrated with your bank account. You need to be frustrated with yourself. You don't need to be frustrated with your pipeline. You need to be frustrated with yourself. So it's going to be really good when somebody decides to start doing the things like running the plays that actually work in real estate. All right. Questions, comments, pushbacks. I would say that, there's a lot of agents out there that just feel like how they've always done it is how they're always going to do it. And so even veteran agents, that aren't doing this, that are making, let's say 70, 80, $100,000 a year, they could be making $300,000 a year if they were actually doing what it takes. But when I say the number one expectation of real estate consumers is to hire an agent that has a deep market knowledge, you got to understand what market knowledge means. It means understanding the data. It means scouring the MLS, running reports constantly in the MLS. It means looking at data that the Alabama Center for Real Estate puts out, the local MLS, like Valley MLS is really good about cranking out the data. It's really great, but you need to preview as many listings as possible, right? You need to study that data. You need to memorize it. That's what being a local market economist is. That's what having a deep market knowledge is. I think we'd all be better served if we just took a really honest inventory of ourselves and our approach to this business. Because until we start approaching it the right way, in a professional way, it's just not going to bear the dividends that we expect. Let's talk about Michelle's issue here with the off-market listing. Michelle, we've been talking about it. We don't really understand the point of taking an off-market listing, and we don't know how that benefits you, how that benefits the seller. So tell us your thought process of taking an off-market listing, and let's go from there.
So this house, it's got a huge, like 12 to 15 foot in-ground pool in the back. Talked to the seller. He can't afford any repairs. He just wants to sell it as is. I might can just bring him a couple of investors. But I wanted to go ahead and get a listing agreement because, one, I don't want any of my investors screwing me over and trying to not pay me, which is what has happened to me previously. So I want a listing in place, okay, to cover me and the brokerage to get their money. But also, I really think that pool is a safety hazard for showings. I mean, I could do the whole let's sign a waiver for everybody who wants to go see it, but it is a real safety hazard. There's nothing to prevent anybody going and a child falling in that pool. I mean, it's concrete. It's 15 feet down. It's not filled. So that was my reasoning for not wanting to list it on the market, honestly.
I think those are some pretty valid reasons. Blake, what say you?
I mean, I guess I was just questioning the whole, when you told me about it, the paperwork aspect of it. Like, if you can't market it, then if you're talking about bringing an investor, isn't a one-time show and sell sufficient?
Yeah, because the other thing too is if you ask two people at AAR or two people at Greater Alabama what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do in terms of off market. Like if you Google off market listings, it's going to bring up, you start doing some research about off market listings, it's going to present you with some information about pocket listings, which have been banned by NAR. So pocket listings are totally out. So you're
not going to be able to be specific if you don't list it, right? That's my takeaway, right? Like an off market listing, you can't be specific, right?
Like specific, like what?
Specific.
Like what?
Give an address and shit.
I can bring the property to the company, though, right? I can share it with any of you guys.
Yeah, so you can do, there's all different types of listings. So there's, like exclusive agency listing where you're just going to market it to the agents of the company, and that's the only marketing you're doing. So you're just doing like an internal marketing. So with our, private Facebook page, text group, things like that.
That's what I was thinking, because between my personal investors, Chris's investors, Jenny and them do flips, then I can show it to all of us, and one of those investors can get it, and I feel like that's sufficient. I know how much the seller wants to net, and I think that between just what's available between us, it'll happen.
Yeah, and that way you go to your investors and go, listen, I've got something signed, so if you try to screw me, you're going to screw this, you're going to blow the whole deal up.
Are y'all talking about something that's like truly off market? Like, like, for example, the property I just got under contract, it was off market, the seller, and I gave it to my investor. I went to go look at it. I took video for it. I sent it to a couple other investors. I know what she wants. So you saying that I can't send it to other investors, or?
No, she's talking about marketing.
Yeah, we're talking about public market, like consumer facing marketing. and what you can do and what is in the best interest of the seller and the agent in terms of actually being able to procure a sale. So what she could do is, you know, I mean, you can literally do a single compensation agreement. Like you don't have to go through a bunch of paperwork. That paperwork's actually gotten easier with the new compensation guidelines handed down by NAR and all the associations across the country. But they could try, I mean, she could do that for 2 weeks and then, or a month. And if it doesn't work, just reaching out to her people, her agents, you know, her company, keeping it on the DL, and then possibly look at maybe listing it down the road if all those efforts don't bear any fruit.
Now, what if we came across a property like, and the seller says like, okay, I only want, like, for example, I only want, 50K for this property. And they said, I don't care, what you get, as long as I get 50K.
You gotta be careful of a net listing there.
It's not a listing. I'm not listing it. Like if I did it like wholesaled it, if I wholesaled the property.
That's why I like to not do it formally so that I can go to Facebook and go, hey, I got this potential. I've got a seller who wants to sell in Alabaster. He wants this. I think with this much work, it could be worth this. Come, get in touch with me ASAP. This one's going to go quick.
Yeah, not putting the address or putting the picture.
Yeah, just doing super vague.
Okay.
That's what I prefer to do. So it just depends on the situation, on the seller, all kind of different things. So if that's what I would do, Teresa, just market it to us. Erin jumped in the chat and says she's got investors. Send her the information. So send it to all of us. Put it in the Facebook group. Have Anna put it in the group. Get her the details. Whatever you guys want to do. Send out a text blast. And then what I would probably do down the road, if none of that works, just in terms of liability, if you can get some signage to put out there that just say enter this area at your own risk, just some warning signs, that tends to neutralize liability. Say, listen, we put warnings in the MLS, we put warning signs up at the property, stay away from the pool, all that kind of stuff. So
is there any difference in having a pool with water in it versus, I mean, you're talking about somebody falling in water and drowning, right? Like I wouldn't assume liability would be like, well, it's a lot worse because they fell in an empty thing, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Well, if you got a spring breaker at your condo and your condo over, is in jumping distance of the pool, if the owner has a sign up there that says no jumping off balcony, then you can jump head first and break your neck 100 times and the seller's not liable for it. So there's some little things you can do to kind of release liability there to get it out there and actually make it a formal listing.
Yeah. I mean, if a kid falls in a pool and you're showing it, I mean, you can jump in and pull the kid out. If they fall in this pool, they're breaking something or dying. So, yeah, it's deep and it's all concrete.
Not a strong swimmer.
Yeah.
What? You can swim?
No, that kid's drowned in my mind.
So I got rid of my pool. I can't have that on my conscience. But okay, yeah, I'm going to send them over the paperwork tonight.
I mean, you could send them over one time show and sell, just put the names of your investors on it.
That's what I was saying.
I thought about that, but I don't want to do onesie twosie. I just want to do one thing that protects my commission, and then I can send it out to everybody in one whack, and may the best man win.
Gotcha.
Now, can't you do that? Can't you do that piece of paper that bar provides? Yeah, it's like, you have to sign it. Like, remember, Michelle, that we had to sign that paper before we went to that burnt house?
I don't want to do that. That's what I was thinking would have to be done if I put it on the market. I mean, everybody would have to sign a freaking waiver because it is dangerous, and I just don't want it on my conscience. Whether somebody signs it or not, there's dumbasses out there. They'll bring their kids still, let their kids fall in there. I'd feel bad.
All right, y'all. 3 minutes over time. Appreciate everybody hanging with us this week for the long call. And if you need to reach out to me one-on-one, please feel free to do so. And we can talk more about what we're talking about. Alex, if you've got questions, if you're just mentally paralyzed, give me a call.